everybody. Welcome to the next Big Rush. I am here with a very special guest, Chris Timmins of Pegasus Resources. Now, this is a company that I believe you're going to start to hear about more and more. Reasons are going to be revealed while I lead this interview, but this is a special company to me specifically because it kind of fits the, profile of what I like to see in a company. Good people with good projects and good jurisdictions with a tiny market cap that most of the market really isn't following just yet. But I think these guys are really going to go somewhere. And I really like to associate myself with early stage stories so that, when they do blow up, you can look back and say, hey, Fabi interviewed these people. Maybe I should have listened to her. Yes, you should. And so this is your warning right now. Chris, welcome.
Hi, Fabi. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Chris, you've just put out some news. But before we go into that, let's take people back to Pegasus 101. What is the company all about? And what is your focus and strategy?
Sure. Well, our main focus is uranium. That's where we're focused these days. We have 5 projects in total, 4 of them in the Athabasca Basin, and the one we put out the news release on is in Utah, Emery County. So we've got 5 uranium projects. We have one that's drill ready, and one we're trying to get to the drill ready stage here in Q1.
Cool. And so my question is, you're in the Athabasca Basin and you're also in the US. How are you going to be able to manage being in the 2 jurisdictions? Is there a priority here, one over the other? How are you guys dealing with that?
Sure. So what we have is that we've got our Pine Channel property, which we got our drill permit for here back in November of this year. Well, actually, I think it was the month before. But anyway, we have a drill permit up there that we just recently received. So yeah, very recent. So we're excited about that. We obviously put the news out and we plan to get up there in February of 2024 to start our drill program. The beauty of having this projects in Athabasca Basin and in Utah is that we can focus on our Pine Channel property through the wintertime and then spend the spring and summer compiling the data, doing any groundwork we need to, advance the project to the second round of drilling. And then we can do the opposite down in Utah. So what we're doing down there right now is that we just staked a bunch more land. So we added 160% to our project, Energy Sands in Utah. And now that we've done that, we're going to start a geology program down there where we're going to map and sample this, put all the data together that we need to apply for a drill permit, and then have this one drill ready for the summer of 2024. So basically, we'll be going into 2024 with a winter drilling program and a summer drilling program. And like I said, with Pine Channel, we can do the data compilation through the summer and plan for round 2 in the winter. And we can do the opposite at Utah. So we can do our drilling through the summer there, do any groundwork we need and data compilations to make round 2 happen. So we've got some really exciting times ahead of us here because not many companies are going to be drill ready for 2 projects in 2024 and basically have the US and Canada covered with those programs. So we're very excited over here and we think the markets are going to like what we're doing.
Interesting. So you are going to have lots of news coming out, both winter and summer programs, which is important because sometimes when the company is solely focused on, say, the Athabasca Basin and they only drill for whatever the reason is in the winter, then they have this massive lull, right? Too many months where there isn't much to report on, and it doesn't really matter that you're still a valuable company. People get bored and then they sell, and so you see like a lot of price destruction, for lack of a better word. And I think that you guys are going to get really busy in 2024, and hopefully, the market will be smart enough to catch it. Now, before we get really into the different projects that you guys have control over, what kind of team experience and background do you guys bring to the table that's going to allow you, to advance these forward?
Sure. We actually have a really great team here at Pegasus. Our advisory board's really super strong. Our board of directors is very strong. So I myself, I come from the oil and gas industry. So I was responsible for putting projects together to get them executed on, putting the crews that you need, getting the accommodations. Like you just, what I was doing before was really just project management at some levels. So I'm just continuing on here at Pegasus doing the same type of work. Plus I get to do a little marketing and interviews with people like you, of course, and get out and meet investors and all that stuff, which I enjoy. So that side of the job is going really great, and I love doing it. And as far as our advisory board goes, we've got really good names on it. Doug's our advisor. He's 30 years in the junior mining sector. He's seen it all, and he's very good at staying up to date on what's happening. So as far as the industry trends go and regulations and all that stuff, Doug's great, keeps us pointing in the right direction and keeps us with solid information that you just not everyone can get their hands on. And then we've got Jody Daru, who's also a great asset to us. We're actually using his geology firm, Daru Geological Consulting, for all our work in Canada and now, as of this news release, in the USA. So we're very happy to have Daru Consulting doing our work. They're a great, obviously, well-known geology firm. They do great work. They have a solid reputation that we're glad they were happy to work with us. So we're very happy that we have them. And I think it bodes well for Pegasus in general. The nice thing about using these third-party contractors too is that when we're not working on the projects, we're not paying a geologist to sit around. So at this early stage for us, we find it very important and cost effective to, have these trusted firms out there doing our geology work third party. They give us dedicated guys that we talk to. So it's not like we're talking to a different person every time. We have a team that we work with over there for the projects that we focus with. So it's really good for us. It keeps our costs down. And, in the future, as we get rolling here and these projects start taking off, we can always reevaluate and see whether we want to bring some of this work in-house, as far as, just have someone on our board of directors or someone working for us that just strictly focuses on what we're doing. But at this early stage, this is the best option for us. And we're very excited that Daru's Geologics is willing to work with us.
Yeah, that is definitely the way to do it. I should know this. That is definitely the way to do it. You keep your costs down, you get the best people that you can afford to, and you move forward, and then you reevaluate. So let's talk about your projects. When we talk about the Athabasca Basin, where are they located, and what has been the process of, choosing which project to prioritize? What do you know about, the property that you have?
Sure. Well, we actually picked up these projects. We started looking at them in the summer of 2021. So we actually picked up these projects before a lot of the rushing to grab up all the good land happened. So we end up getting some really nice properties. Our Pine Channel one, which is our drill ready project. It's got lots of historical work. Denison Mines worked the property in the 70s and early 80s. They did all the groundwork, they flew the surveys, and they drilled 12 holes on the property. And 7 of them came back with anomalous uranium. Highest uranium reading was 0.15%. So very encouraging results, especially, this is 1970s and 80s. So people weren't really focused on the basement back then. So based off these results, and then of course some work that's been done through the years since Denison worked the land, we think we've got a really strong potential here to find the next uranium deposit in the Athabasca Basin. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get out here this winter and drill this project and find some uranium, we hope.
So how big is this program going to be? How many holes are you planning?
Sure. We're looking at doing 10 holes, which will give us 1,500 meters of drilling. The beauty is that it's very shallow to the basement here where we're at in Pine Channel. So where we're at, it's only 60 to 100 meters to the basement structure. So a lot of properties around are anywhere from 200 to 700 meters before they get to this, the basement where all the good stuff's being found. So for us, we just have like 60 to 100 meters. So this 1,500 meter program gives us lots of room to really get into the basement and see what's going on there. And it's very cost effective. We do not need to use helicopter support on this project. If we were going to summertime, we'd have to do a camp or a helicopter. So we could do it in the summertime, but it's honestly way more cost effective to do this in the winter because we have roads that we can drive. So once the ice road's set up, we can just drive our crews and equipment in there and work this project. And not having these helicopter fees is a huge savings. So we're managing to get lots of work done here at a really low cost compared to a lot of our peers. So we think there's a great opportunity here for investors to catch some of the upside once we get these projects rolling.
Yeah, price is definitely one of the things that can be a bottleneck, for smaller companies in the basin because uh, whatever the market rate is what you have to accept. And obviously, when the high season comes for drilling, you're all competing for, the same suppliers and everything. How much cheaper do you think your program is going to be versus, a property that would need a helicopter fly-in and that kind of support?
A helicopter could add almost $200 a meter. So we're coming in around 550 a meter, and adding helicopter support could bring that up to 750 a meter. So it's actually a substantial percentage wise of drilling. So it's very cost effective for us. So
Which
we're
means you
glad
can
that we're
drill
in the
more.
position. Yeah, we can drill more for less money. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
So we're glad we're in the position, especially being an early stage company, that we don't have to cough up all these extra costs just to get the ground, just to get that drill program up and running. So we're excited, and we think it's good times ahead for Pine Channel.
Awesome. So you just put out news about Energy Sands. Can you go into more about this property, where it's located? I've heard that it's close to another company that people might be a little bit more familiarized with. Why is this
Yeah.
important?
We got a great project here at Energy Sands. It's got infrastructure, and some more infrastructure. It's got everything you want in a project. We've got closeology, that being our neighbors with Western Uranium Vanadium, ticker WUC. So we have a great neighbor. We've got roads right there on the property and a highway just to the south of the property. We've got water access for drilling when the time comes. And with Western Uranium's talking about building a processing plant at Green River, which is 6 miles up the road from us. So they're talking about putting in a processing plant for uranium and vanadium in 2026. And they've stated publicly that they will accept third-party ore for that. So in the event that we find an economical deposit on this property, we have everything within 6 miles of us that, to bring this product to market. So if we have uranium there, and we can just go talk to Western Uranium and say, hey, you got any room at your mill? And they do, we're in business. Or they might just say, you know what, we like your deposit, and we'll have to sit down with them and try to figure that out. But we've got quite a few options here. The project's in the right place. Let's get into like Western Uranium's. They've got 3 to 4 million pounds of uranium deposits just 2 miles to the northeast of us. And we're a long trend of all that stuff. So again, we're in the right spot. We're a long trend of known deposits. They're not like they're miles and miles away. These aren't 20 miles away. These aren't 30 miles away. These are 2 and 3 miles away. Their largest deposit's to our east, and it's 2.2 million pounds. And it's like not even 2 miles. So we're pretty excited about this project. We want to get in there. We're going to do the work. Like I said, we've got DGC going down here in the new year. They're going to go in, start putting all the data together to bring this project to drill ready. And we should be ready to drill this come summer. And it's cheap to drill. Like compared to the basin, it's almost half the cost, even with the US dollar worked into it. So we can go down there and do a 10-hole program for 300,000, maybe 500 at the tops, depending on how deep we go. And honestly, it's probably going to be closer to 300,000 number. So 10 holes, $300,000, that's pretty good project. And based on, even again, Western Uranium has a 43101 for this area. So if you go into their 43101, you can see that they believe this area is ISR potential too. So not only that, we have infrastructure, we have closeology, we have a processing mill up the road, and according to our neighbor, there's ISR potential for this property as well. So this project's very exciting. Honestly, we've got lots of good stuff on the go here at Pegasus. We just need to get out there and start working on these properties.
I can sense your excitement, Chris. And so I'm wondering, Regarding this project that's on trend with WC's Energy Sands in Utah, do you have enough historical slash geophysical or geochemistry knowledge to know where to drill, or like is this do you need to do any sort of preliminary studies before you can drill? What's the process here?
Basically, we got to go in and do some mapping and sampling and just kind of see what's on the surface. The geology in these areas tend to be considered hidden, so it's hard to see what's going on below the surface, just of how all the formations and the structures line up in the area. But again, we don't have any work ourselves, but the property was a past producing property. So something I forgot to mention earlier is that there
That
was
is
actually
a
52.
detail that you should
It is a good
mention.
detail. Yes, I know. So many good details. Those 52 tons of uranium and vanadium pulled off this property in the 1950s, and that's stated on the USGS website. So you can find that data. So this property is a past producer. So we know there's uranium. The historical grade on the property was 0.373. So
Wow.
for US grades, that's actually
That's
a very
high. That's very high.
grade. Yes, like to see that number, as on our property is very encouraging. I mean, most of the people are, happy with point 0.2. If we can get a point 0.3, we're very happy with that number. And again, Western Uranium's 43101 shows that there has been drill intercepts in the area of more than 1% uranium. And again, those are really solid numbers for USA deposits. So
Absolutely.
if we can even find something similar to what was past produced or something similar to what Western Uranium's seeing, we think we're in the right area.
That is so exciting. You probably need to raise some money because like, okay, like you're driving across town by being close to infrastructure, but that's not going to be free. You're going to have to raise money before you can go out and do it. Do you have a private placement open now? How much are you raising? Tell us the details.
Yep, we do have a private placement open right now. So on November 10th, we announced two raises. So we're raising some non-flow through dollars and flow through dollars. So we're raising 1.6 million in total. The non-flow through dollars obviously will cover our general operating costs and fund all the early stage work that we're going to do down here at Energy Sands. And then our flow through dollars, we're raising $1 million there, and that'll all go into Pine Channel, and some will go into our historical resource estimate over at Mazy Lake, which we haven't touched on yet. So that's a third project. So we can cover that in a second if you want. But so basically we're raising 1.6 million. That's going to get us our drill program at Pine Channel. It's going to get us set up to drill in Energy Sands, and it'll get some work done at Mazy Lake, which we'll use to bring that resource estimate into modern compliance and then grow it hopefully.
Okay, now I must ask, what's up with Mazy Lake?
We have a historical resource. So of course, this isn't a compliant resource estimate. That's why we have to go in there this spring, summer, and do the work and bring that into compliance. So what we have is 535,000 pounds of uranium at a grade of 0.12%. So not high grade, but it shows us that there's something there. There's definitely some volume there as far as the ore goes. And this project was never tested for the basement. So for all we know, the good stuff's actually sitting down there at the basement boundary, and we got to get in there and find out. So what we're going to do again is take some of those flow through dollars that are left over from Pine Channel, and if we have to, we'll top it off from the hard dollars, but we'll get in there this spring, summer, go in and see what we need to do, locate those historic drill collars, put a program together for 2025 to bring this resource into compliance and grow it. So that gives us drilling at Pine Channel, drilling in Utah, and possibly drilling a third project in 2025. So we got lots on the go. We will have to raise money to fund a lot of this, but with the way uranium markets are going and the excitement that we can generate from these projects, we don't see that as being an issue here. It's just a matter of showing the markets we're going to work these properties, and once they realize that, they'll be on board.
Now you're also an investor yourself, right? And so you're not just a sales guy who just fell into the role of a CEO. You started out investing your own hard dollars and trying to figure out this whole, junior mining scene. What are
Yep.
you seeing out there regarding uranium and uranium equities in general? I'm curious.
everyone loves what's going on with uranium. Like everyone I talk to, brokers, family offices, whoever, they love what's going on in the uranium story. Obviously, the explorers right now are not getting rewarded for what's going on. But I mean, being an investor, I follow these trends, and we know that sometimes these consolidation spells are part of what happens. I mean, back in 2021 and 2022, a lot of money went into the uranium explorers, and a lot of that money was in private placements, flow throughs, and stuff. So that, there's a bit of a turnover going on right now on the explorer side, especially as those shares come into the market and get absorbed. But I think it's just setting the stage for the next run. And when it does happen, it's going to be after a nice, healthy consolidation, which we're already seeing happen. And I think next run will be very beneficial to all the explorers, and especially the ones that are working their properties and can keep their costs under control.
Ones that are actually putting out news, right?
Yeah, news. Yeah, the market loves news. That's one of the benefits of the package that we ended up with here at Pegasus, that we do have that potential to generate the news year round, and not everyone can say that. So
absolutely. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm checking out some stats here. It looks like you're sitting at 2.5 million Canadian dollars market cap and 15.5 million shares out, which is pretty tight float, very small market cap. So any sort of positive news can probably make this thing fly like crazy.
Yeah, we got a really tight share count here. 15.5 million outstanding, 22 millions on a fully diluted basis. Most of our options and warrants are priced at 50 cents or higher. So there's not a lot of overhang as far as, options and warrants coming out that we'll see in the market until this thing gets up into that 50, 60 cent range. So it's really good time for investors. Like a downside, of course, having this tight float is you move volatile. You can move up and down very, very quickly on low to no volume. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. When it's moving up, you're celebrating and everything's great. But, when the markets are a little wishy-washy, you move down on low volume. So you're kind of sad. But, it's just the price you pay of having a tight share structure. And again, once these markets heat up, that share structure will really come in handy for, it's not going to take much to move the stock.
Absolutely. And yeah, of course, you're biased. So am I.
Of course I am.
And the time with low volumes is really the stuff that attracts me, right? It's when nobody really cares, stuff is trading sideways, people have kind of forgotten about things. When people get bored, that is the single best time to come in and invest. And so I see here that, you're not at an all-time high whatsoever, but you still have your share structure pretty intact. And I mean, the market cap, absolutely love it, under 5 million. And you have so many, I have to say this, Chris, you have so many properties for the size of your company that I think that the opportunity for upside here is manifold. So enough of my own biased opinion. Chris, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about Pegasus?
PegasusResources.com. You can also follow me on X or Twitter, whichever you call it, at Mr. Chris_Timmins. And you can follow Pegasus Resources at Pegasus Resources Inc., also on Twitter. So I'm pretty active over there. It's kind of where I started my travel into the penny land, so to speak. So I like Twitter. I'm an active participant over there, and I'm always talking about Pegasus. So if you like to hear about Pegasus, join me on Twitter.
Awesome. We will for sure. Thank you so much, Chris. And I hope to speak to you soon with some news from Pegasus. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Fabi. Great having you. Great seeing you today.